Shalom again, righteous family. Once again, this is the third of trying to bridge the gap between Yahuah and Ahayah. You see the title. The Most High says, I am not Ahayah. The Father said it out of his mouth. I am not Ahayah. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. This isn't to bash anyone. These are educational videos for those that call on Ahayah, for those that's conflicted, for those that are confused. You see, in that comment section on that video I did, there were too many confused people. There were comments. I went back before I did this video because I know what the Father wanted me to do. And before I did this, I went back and read through all those comments, and it was like comments that there were some questions. I never saw them and I didn't answer them. They're like a year old. It never showed up. It was strange to me to see all of the comments in that video. And the people are a lot of them, very confused. You had the people throwing out Ahayah, yashar'al, this man's crazy. Listen, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, it's the proof that's in the pudding that what counts. I'm showing what's in Abry in the scripture. And what's in Abry in the scripture is the Father saying, I am not Ahayah. He's telling us this. See, I myself, I haven't and probably won't until we get a new tongue read all through the scriptures in Abry. Wish I was, well, I even if we do it now, it's so messed up. The scripture's messed up. But anyway, we would see a lot of things. We're in the scripture in English. In English. And we check up on Abry words. We check up on these things. So we don't know this stuff is in there. We know what's in there in English. And he says stuff like, you won't be my people. You are not my people. I am not your mighty one. We see this in English. But what does it say in Abry? That we don't know. So my question, and this is to bridge the gap. It's not to argue. This is not a debate. You won't see me in the comment section arguing or debating. It will not happen. I have facts. And many people, they don't bring forth facts. They just said Ahayah is his name and that's all I got to say. And this man is a liar. They don't put forth any facts. The teachers are not putting forth any facts. Where are the facts? So we're going to see, did the Father say, I am not Ahayah? And why don't they teach this? They can't. They have an agenda. And you're going to see for yourself that the Father said, I am not Ahayah. You have to, if that was, this is the question you must ask yourself. If Ahayah is his name and it's a fact, why can I show you the Father is saying out of his mouth, I am not Ahayah? This is the question you must answer. And see, on Judgment Day, you're going to have to be honest with yourself. Again, this is direct. These messages are not to the people that come to this channel that call on the name Yahuah. It is not for you. These messages are not for you. You can watch them and listen and maybe learn something, but this is for those that call on Ahayah. And the Father saying it's time to bridge the gap. The people that call on Ahayah, they said we don't want to have anything to do with those people that call on Yahuah. They are wicked. We try to talk with them in comment sections on their pages. We throw up scriptures after scriptures and they slap us upside the head. They don't want to hear anything we have to say. So let's see it. The Father is saying, I am not. I know people are like, hurry up. Come on. I'm here. Here it is. Again, I put in Ahayah. Here is Ahayah. Aleph. Hey. Yah. Hey. You know the word by now. I've shown it. They proclaim these letters. The Tetragrammaton, AHYH. You want to call it a Tetragrammaton? Call it what you want. That's what it is. This is Hosea 1:9. And here the Father is speaking. Ooh. Anaki. And I. Listen, this is what he said. This is the Father speaking. You have to know when the prophets say, thus says the Most High, then sometimes you hear the Father speaking to the prophet, speaking to the people. And here is the Father speaking. Ooh. Anaki. La. Ahayah. La. Ahayah. I am not Ahayah. This is what he's saying. He's saying, I am not Ahayah. Many of you know La. Let's go to it. Go back to Google Translate. I put in the English no. La. He's saying La. Not. I am not. This is what he's saying. I am not. Ahayah. So what is he saying? You look over here. Then he called. Then he said, call his name La Ami. You're not my people. For you are not my people. La Ami means you're not my people. There's La again. And I am not your I am becoming. That is correct. Whatever you need, see, Ahayah, whatever we need, he became, he will do it. He working for us. But if he's not our Ahayah, see, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. And so if you look at it from the point of where people teach today, this title is correct. The Father is saying, I am not Ahayah out of his own mouth. What are you going to do now that you know this? Now that you see this, do what I did. Look it up in the Abry and you will see it. Learn to get out of the English and go into Abry. Stay away. Hebrew is Jewish. We don't deal in Hebrew. That's simple. Our people didn't deal in Hebrew. They don't know what Hebrew is. You say Abry, they know Abry. Hebrew does not exist. Hebrew is a man-made invention. And so again, people that's talking about we're speaking the ancient Hebrew, no, they're not. Sorry. It's not true. You tell these same people, show me Hebrew in the original text with the original letters, and they cannot find it. They will find Abry. We've already showed that. This is something we have shown. So the question has to be asked for the people that believes. See, somebody's going to get this. I know you are. You're going to get this. The Father already showed me you're going to get this. And it's going to make a difference. It's going to bridge the gap. See, people allow the name Ahayah. They allow that to plug their ears from the scriptures that come from somebody like this voice. When they listen, you shouldn't allow that to hold you up, but this is what they do. That's why your leaders tell you, don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to those people that call on Yahuah. Don't listen to them. They calling on the wicked one. And they themselves call on G-O-D. The Most High warned us of G-O-D, the mighty one of fortune. This is what's in Isaiah. In Abry, The mighty one of fortune? See, money is their mighty one. That's why you must pay to learn scripture. You must pay tithes, money, and offering. You must pay because their mighty one is G-O-D, the mighty one of fortune, of money. They have made mammon their mighty one. They put mammon before the Almighty. They won't teach. How can you so-called have all this knowledge and you won't teach what true tithes and offerings according to scripture, who receives it and why they receive it in Torah? Why won't they teach that? So they don't want you to see a video like this. And I am not Ahayah. I'm not Ahayah. He's telling us. See, I've said this a long time ago, that he's not Ahayah. That's not his name. It means I will become, I will be. I can show you many other people. All these verses over here, some of these people are calling themselves Ahayah. And they're not in trouble. They're not in trouble for blaspheming the name because they're not speaking the name. So what are you going to do now? The Father is saying, he's looking at his people. He said, what are you going to do now? Are you going to let this be your blockage? Are you going to continually to let this be your blockage? That you can't receive from someone calling on Yahuah? Calling on Yah? Someone that showed and proved that Yah is not evil? And that Yah is all throughout the scripture and in the names of the men? Are you going to let this to continue to be your blockage? Or are you going to learn scripture on another level and change some of your thinking? Because you have been molded into shape from day one that Ahayah, yashar'al is the name. That's why the people came in the comment sections with arguments and fights, debates. They were ready to go. And I don't do that. I don't do that. What for? You stay in Babylon fighting and debating and you go down with Babylon. You don't make it to the wilderness. You go through Jacob's trouble. What are we debating about? What are we fussing and arguing for? The Most High does not want this. And so, especially for those that are within the borders calling on Ahayah, you expect to get into the wilderness? Expect people to be going into the wilderness calling on the name Yahuah. Expect it. Who cares? Who is it more of? More people in the borders calling on Ahayah than Yahuah. Who cares? At the end of the day, the Most High will give his people a pure tongue, a pure Abry tongue, and we will understand scripture better in the wilderness. Let's bridge the gap. Don't let this be a blockage. See, this blockage will hinder you from learning no scripture. The Most High is bringing out so much on this channel, and you allow this to be your blockage, you will miss so much. See, people allow their iniquity become their blockage. Some people listen, when people start hating on me and start talking about me, behind my back, of course, they're not going to receive anything from this channel. They will click on it, listen, and come out with nothing. I've seen it. I've never seen it before, but I've seen it now. People can hear you, listen to you, but the blockage caused the Most High to not let that word mature in their heart. And the enemy snatches it right out of them. They never grow. And they continue to do their weaknesses over and over, talking about, I'm going to get better. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. And they are a blockage to themselves. They are a danger to themselves and anyone that's around them. These are some very, very deadly, dangerous people. Shaul follows them. They begin to do those abominable things, speaking against your brethren, speaking against those that teach and keep Torah to the best of their ability. He said it. I'm not Ahayah. Shalom.